My mouth still tastes like a goat.
Hi everyone, this is Editing Jerica here, but I just came in to let you know that this video is split into 2 different parts. So in today's video, I'm doing part 2 of the cheapest makeup at Beauty Bay, where I do my eyes and my lips. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I uploaded it on Monday and I'll link it down below, so make sure you go check that one out first. And let's get on with the video.
So the eye palette I got is this little quad from Wet n Wild, and this one is in the shade Walking on Eggshells, and I got this one for $6.95. This is actually perfect for beginners because it outlines where each shade should go. So they have a transition shade, a crease shade, a brow bone shade, and an eyelid shade. And the one thing I probably don't really agree with is that for the crease, it's a shimmery shade, and I probably wouldn't usually put a shimmery shade in the crease, but that's definitely personal preference. So I did a quick little swatch for you guys. So they're definitely very wearable, everyday shades. And if you're first starting off your collection and you just want one eyeshadow palette that you can easily travel with, then this one might be the go for you. So to start off the look, I'm going to take a big fluffy blending brush, and I'm just going to go into that transition shade and pop that pretty much all over my lid, but especially focusing it in the crease of your eyes. But because of the size of my brush, it's kind of going to go all over anyway. This one isn't overly pigmented. It really is just to sort of lay down a base of the eye colors that we're using. One thing that I feel like this little eyeshadow palette really lacks is having another matte shade, so similar to the transition shade, but just a little bit darker, so that you can kind of pack it onto the outer corner. So instead of this like shimmery crease color, I wish I would have had that be more of like a deeper matte outer corner color. I'm going to switch to a little bit of a smaller, denser brush, something like that, and I'm going to take the crease shade and put it just in that outer half, and then focusing it in the crease as well. So these eyeshadows are not the most pigmented. They're definitely more buildable in formula, which is actually good for a beginner because you never know how light-handed or how heavy-handed to go in with the product. So even if you go in really heavy-handed, they're still going to be pretty easy to blend out. Alright, so for a day-to-day look, you can definitely just stop here, put a little bit of mascara on, and call it a day. But I wanted to go a little bit extra, so I got a single shadow from Wet n Wild as well. And this one is in the shade Nude Comer. And I was expecting this to be powder because it kind of looked like a powder on the website. But while I'm swatching it, I'm actually noticing that is a cream shadow, so that's interesting. For the shade, I'm using a flat brush like this, and I'm just going to dip into that single eyeshadow color and just sort of pack that onto the lid. And this is just that way to sort of amp up your look. So if you're going from a daytime event to a nighttime event, this is one of those steps that you can add that just sort of makes it look a little bit more fancy without actually putting in too much effort. Now look at the difference that makes. Here's it without the single eyeshadow, and here's it with the single eyeshadow. And since this shade is a cream shade, if you don't set it with powder, it will most likely crease throughout the day. So I'm going to go in with the eyelid shade from the palette, which is just sort of like a satin pink. So I'm just going to go in with that and put it on top just to set it in place. And I'm just going to go in with the brushes that I used before and just sort of re-intensify those colors. So I'm going to take the transition shade on that fluffy brush and build that up a bit more. And then once again, going in with that crease shade and building up the outer corner. Okay, and then with the same crease shade, I'm gonna bring that underneath my lower lash line. As I said, I usually wouldn't do this with a shimmer, but it's the only shade that they have that's a little bit darker than that transition shade. So I'm just gonna work with it. And then to finish off the eyeshadow, I'm gonna take that brow bone color on a pencil brush like this. And I'm going to put that where it says to, so right on the brow bone, which is right under here. And also on the inner corner, which is right in here. Okay, so overall, I'm happy with the eyeshadow look. It obviously isn't my favorite look that I've ever created, but for $6, I feel like this palette is definitely worth it, especially if you're a very, very beginner in makeup. And there are multiple different colors, so you don't have to get a natural color like this. I feel like there was like a purple, there was heaps of other colors on the website, but this was the only one that was in stock when I purchased the makeup. So yeah, as I said, not the most amazing quality ever, but for $6, I feel like they are worth it. And this is the eye look that I created. If I had a different palette, I probably would have deepened the outer corners just a tiny bit more with that matte shade. And I probably would have ran a matte shade underneath my lower lash line as well. But I worked with what I had and I'm pretty happy with it. So now I'm gonna move on to eyeliner. I have this black pencil eyeliner and it's from the brand Wet n Wild in the shade Baby's Got Black. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna run it on my lash line and then I'm gonna smudge it out with a little angled brush like this to kind of create a smoky liner effect. So I know you're not supposed to, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull my lid tight like that. Once again, you're not supposed to do this, so don't take my advice, but it's just what I'm doing. I'm pulling my lid tight like that, and I'm just gonna run the pencil sideways, so I'm holding it horizontally. I'm just running it right on top of my lashes. And then to get a little bit more precise, you can pull your lid again and use the tip of it this time. And you don't have to be very neat about it, because then what we're gonna do is take a clean brush and sort of just smudge it out so it creates that really like smoky effect. Run it side to side and then flick it up. Okay, so this is another way that you can sort of up your makeup to make it more nighttime appropriate. This is without the eyeliner and this is with the eyeliner. This is probably more like a day-to-day, maybe to the office sort of look, and this one you could probably pass off if you're going to a party. And then I'm gonna take the eyeliner. This is completely optional. If you feel like you have smaller eyes, then probably don't do this step because it can sometimes really close off the eye. But because I don't have that small of eyes, I'm gonna run the black in my waterline. And this can kind of create that really like sultry, sort of like smoky, sexy effect, I guess. So I'm just gonna pull down and run my liner right on my waterline. And then to avoid this sort of 90s appearance where it's just black all the way around, I'm gonna kind of just like create a little tiny, not really a wing, just sort of like a flick outwards. Like that. And then I'm gonna take my brush again and just sort of smudge, smudge, smudge. And then I'm just gonna do the exact same thing on the other eye and I will be back after that. For $3, it really isn't that bad. I probably wouldn't repurchase it. Like I wouldn't go and try and find this Wet n Wild eyeliner again. I would probably go for a Maybelline eyeliner instead because it's probably around like the $10 mark, but they are so much more high pigmented and they do stay a lot longer on my eyes, whereas I feel like this one is probably going to rub off pretty easily throughout the course of the day. So moving on to mascara. Did I get mascara? Oh no! Oh no, did I get mascara? I swear I got mascara. I found it. My cat must have knocked it off the countertop, but I found it. It was on the floor. Okay, so this is the Mega Protein Mascara by Wet n Wild. From memory, I feel like all of the mascaras were the same price, which is $3.95, so that is pretty affordable. From looking at the wand, it kind of just looks straight across. There's no real shape to it. And the mascara formula seems pretty wet, so I have a feeling it's gonna transfer easily. So what I'm gonna do is hold my mirror down below me, like this, and look down into it. Because if I'm looking straight forward like this, it's gonna transfer more easily onto the eyelid. Okay, so this is one coat of mascara on each side. So one thing that I definitely noticed is it clumped a lot, especially on this eye, so I wonder if it's because the formula was starting to get dry because I did this eye first. This is just one coat, so I'm gonna go in with the second coat and see if it's buildable. But overall, like for $3.95, it's definitely not a bad mascara. For the second coat, I noticed that it made the clumping a little bit worse, so it's definitely not the most buildable of formulas. And it did transfer a little bit onto the upper half of my lid, especially on this side. So I waited for it to dry, and then I just took a dense blender brush and sort of just flicked it off, and it came off relatively easily. So overall, I feel like it's a pretty good mascara. I looked at the website, and it didn't really say whether it was supposed to lengthen or make it more voluminous or anything like that, but I do feel like it did add a little bit of length, a little bit of volume. It's not like a miracle worker, like it's not going to completely transform your lashes, but it definitely will get the job done for a relatively affordable price. Okay, we are slowly but surely coming to the end of the video. I have my lips and my brows left. So first of all, I'm going to take the spoolie end. So this is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Brow Pencil. I'm taking the spoolie end and sort of just brushing my brow hairs into place. I got mine in the shade Brunettes Do It Better, and it was $3.95. I'm just going to line right, whoa, okay. It's a little bit pigmented, so go in lightly. Okay, very pigmented, very pigmented. This is almost like too creamy for a brow pencil in my opinion, like it goes on very pigmented right away. So definitely going with the light hand. I'm gonna drag that underneath my brow. And just sort of filling in where my brows need it. And then spooling up to sort of disperse that product. I do feel like it's a pretty good shade for me, so if you have hair that's similar to mine, this might be a good shade for you. It's not overly warm or like a rich red shade or anything. It's definitely more ashy, which matches my hair color best. It's not terrible, but I do not feel like it's gonna last all day long. I feel like it's gonna smudge as the day goes on. Another thing is because the formula is so creamy, the tip of the pencil sort of dies down really easily, and by the end of the brow application, I felt like it was really hard to get like defined hair-like strokes. It was more just like filling in the brow as a block. So I don't feel like that one's really worth the money. I would splurge and spend about $10 and get one that's a little bit less creamy and easier to work with. Okay, and last but not least, we have lips. And I'm only just now realizing that I forgot to buy a lipstick. So I'm just gonna use this lip pencil, which I have from the brand Wet n Wild, and it's in the shade Brandy Wine. And then over the top of it, I'm gonna put this Revolution gloss in the shade Kiss. So, just gonna line my lips and fill them in to pretend like this is a lipstick. This smells like, smell this. What does it smell like?
It smells like a Shopee.
Yeah, that's what it smells like. I was like, it smells so familiar.
What? Hold on.
Yeah, that's what it smells like. It's weird. Overall, I really like the color of it. It's definitely a lot darker than I would usually go for. But if you're going for like really simple eye with this lip, it's sort of like more of a statement color. Or if you have a deeper skin tone than myself, then this might actually work as a really good nude for you. It's creamy enough to go on easily, like it wasn't patchy or anything, but it still feels very dry, so it's very definitely like a matte finish. And if you look at my lips up close, you can see all of the individual lines because it is so matte. So if you prefer a matte lip color, then you might actually like using this as a lipstick. I personally would probably only line my lips with it and then fill them in with a creamier lipstick. But since I got this gloss, I feel like it will all be okay. So this is the Revolution. Oh, it's Plumping Lip Gloss with Vitamin E. And it's in the shade Kiss. Oh, okay. A lot comes out on the applicator, like it's very like stringy. So I'm gonna wipe off some of the excess. Ooh, it smells like peppermint. And I'm just wiping off the applicator before I put it back in because some of my lip color came off on the applicator and I don't want it to tint the color of the gloss. On the website for this lip gloss, it says it's a super hydrating, high shine lip gloss that adds a subtle color to your lips whilst leaving a soft tingling effect that gives your lips volume. There is definitely a tingling effect, but it's not like painful. Like I know some people try a plumping lip gloss and they're like, kind of hurts. This one doesn't hurt, it just sort of feels like minty and fresh. I really like this color. I feel like it's flattering to this look and it's flattering on my skin tone. When I first pulled the lip gloss out of the container, you can kind of see it has like, there's a lot of product that comes out and it's sort of like stringy. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it is very like gooey is the only way that I can describe it. So make sure that you wipe off the applicator before you go in on your lips. But other than that, I'm actually really happy with the lip gloss. I feel like it is high shine, definitely very glossy. At first it was really sticky, but the more it's sitting on my lips, the more comfortable it's feeling. I would give this one a thumbs up. And how much was it? Okay, so I just looked at the prices again, and this is actually $9.50, which is the most expensive product that I purchased for today's look. But I do really like it. Like, I feel like I'll wear it quite often. I enjoyed the sensation that it's giving my lips. It feels very like minty and fresh and plumped. I don't think it actually did plump my lips at all, but I still really like the feeling that it's creating, and I really like the color of it. So I don't know if $9.50 is worth it for you. But for me personally, I feel like that's not that bad for a lip gloss, because like I really love the Fenty lip glosses, and they're, I think, in their 30s. So I feel like this gives a similar effect for a lot more affordable of a price. But anyways guys, this is the completed look. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope it was helpful for you, especially if you're a beginner in makeup and you're just starting out and trying to figure out which products you can buy for an affordable price. All of these products were relatively good, and none of them were like completely terrible. But a few that I'd personally probably not buy again is the Eyebrow Pencil. As I said, I just feel like it was a little bit too creamy, and I don't think it's going to stay in place that long. The black eyeliner, I just feel like you could find one that's a little bit more pigmented, at maybe a little more expensive, but at a similar price range. I really liked the eyeshadow palette, but I feel like they just need like to add a few more shades in there. So maybe if you wanted to get like a 6-pan eyeshadow palette rather than a quad, that might be helpful, especially if it's your first eyeshadow palette ever. This might not be enough shades for you. And the bronzer, I really loved the formula. It was very glowy and luminous, but it just was the wrong shade for me. So make sure you look into the shade that you're buying before you buy it. And a few of my personal favorites is the foundation. I feel like it's sitting really nicely on my face. It's not sinking into any of my pores or my fine lines. And although it is matte, I feel like it's not too matte for my dry skin. I really like the blush because it's pigmented and it hasn't even faded that much, and I really like the color of it. So even though it is pigmented, it's pretty easy to blend out. So I'd recommend this because it's pretty affordable. And also the lip gloss. As I said, it's $9.50, so I don't know if that's too expensive for you. But for me personally, I love the feeling that it gives my lips. It's very flattering in color, and it's definitely high shine. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments down below if you like this video and you want to see more of them targeted to beginners in makeup, because I'd be happy to do it. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, enjoy the adventure. Bye.
Sugar, sugar, sugar.
Sugar, sugar, da, 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 da. Honey, honey, da, 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 da.
She a pretty girl. She's a snack.